Look at your hands. Feel the texture of the device you are holding. Listen to the sound of my voice. Look at the walls around you, the sky above you, the physical weight of your own body. It feels completely real, doesn't it? Solid, absolute, unquestionable. But what if I told you that every single thing you are experiencing right now is nothing more than a highly advanced, mathematically generated illusion? We use the word matrix as a metaphor. We use it to describe the corrupt financial system, the rigged political theater, and the mass media brainwashing orchestrated by the global elites. But what if the matrix is not a metaphor? What if the universe you live in is literally, scientifically, and mathematically a computer program? Welcome to Vantage Elite. Today, we are crossing the absolute boundary of human knowledge. We are not just exposing a government cover-up, we are exposing the foundational code of reality itself. This is the suppressed science of simulation theory, the horrifying truth of the Double Slit Experiment, and the shadow government's desperate attempt to keep your consciousness trapped inside a digital holographic prison. Once you hear this, you will never look at the world the same way again. Act 1. The Rules of the Engine. To understand the ultimate secret of the elites, you first have to look at the undeniable mathematical limits of our universe. Think about how a modern open-world video game is created. When a programmer builds a digital universe, they have to establish boundaries so the computer's processor doesn't crash. Our universe has the exact same boundaries. In a video game, the maximum processing speed of the game engine dictates how fast information can travel. In our reality, we have an absolute speed limit, the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second. Einstein proved that nothing in the universe can travel faster than this. But why? Why is there an arbitrary speed limit to reality? Because that is the maximum rendering speed of the processor running our simulation. In a video game, if you zoom in close enough to a wall or a character, the image breaks down into pixels. There is a fundamental minimum size to the digital world. Our universe has the exact same thing. It is called the Planck length. It is the absolute smallest measurement possible in physics. You cannot divide space any smaller than a Planck length. It is the physical pixel of our reality. In a video game, there is a minimum unit of time, the frame rate. In our universe, it is called Planck time. Time does not flow smoothly like a river. It ticks forward in incredibly tiny, discrete digital increments. We are operating on a cosmic frame rate. But the most terrifying proof that we are living inside a generated program comes from how the universe actually renders itself. If you are playing a massive video game, the console does not render the entire world all at once. That would instantly overheat the processor. Instead, the game only renders the environment that your character is actively looking at. The world behind you, it doesn't exist. It is just raw mathematical data waiting to be observed. For decades, mainstream science mocked this idea, until they conducted an experiment that completely broke the foundation of modern physics. Act 2. The Observer Effect. It is known as the Double Slit Experiment, and it is the single most terrifying scientific discovery in human history. Scientists wanted to understand the nature of matter, so they took electrons, the physical building blocks of our world, and fired them through a barrier with two tiny slits, hitting a screen on the back wall. When they fired the electrons, they expected them to act like physical bullets, creating two solid lines on the back wall. But they didn't. Instead, the electrons created an interference pattern, a wave pattern. It was as if the physical matter had suddenly turned into a wave of pure potential, passed through both slits at the same time, and interfered with itself. Confused, the scientists decided to place a microscopic camera right next to the slits to observe exactly which slit the electron was passing through. And this is where reality broke. The moment they turned the camera on, the moment the electrons were being observed, they instantly snapped back into solid physical particles. They created two solid lines on the back wall. Do you understand what this means? The electrons knew they were being watched. When no one is looking, the universe exists as a wave of probability, a blur of unrendered code. But the exact microsecond a conscious observer looks at it, the universe instantly renders the code into physical matter. Your living room, the trees out your window, the moon in the night sky, they do not physically exist when you are not looking at them. They are just mathematical probabilities waiting for your consciousness to render them into existence. The physicists were terrified. They tried to trick the universe. They created the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment, where they recorded the data of the electrons but didn't look at it immediately. They waited to see if the electron would act like a wave or particle. The universe outsmarted them. The electron actually went backward in time, altering its past behavior based on whether or not the scientists were going to look at the data in the future. Time is not a straight line. Matter is not solid. Reality is generated exclusively by consciousness. Act 3. The browser code of the cosmos. For years, the elites and the heavily funded scientific establishment tried to downplay the double slit experiment. They called it quantum weirdness and told the public not to worry about it. But then, theoretical physics found the smoking gun. Dr. Sylvester James Gates is a world-renowned theoretical physicist and a pioneer in string theory, the advanced mathematics used to explain the fundamental fabric of the cosmos.
While analyzing the complex mathematical equations that dictate how our universe operates, Dr. Gates and his team found something that shouldn't be there. Embedded deep within the equations of supersymmetry, they found computer code. And not just any computer code. They found a specific type of digital code invented by a man named Claude Shannon in the 1940s. It is called a block code, specifically a doubly even self-dual linear error-correcting block code. This is the exact same type of digital code that web browsers and search engines use to prevent data from being corrupted when transmitting information across the internet. Let that sink in. Deep within the subatomic fabric of our universe, preventing reality from glitching out and crashing, is literal mathematical error-correcting computer code. This is not a metaphor. It is not an analogy. The underlying structure of our reality is indistinguishable from a highly advanced digital simulation. Act 4. The Creators and the Archons. If we are living in a simulation, the most terrifying question is not how does it work. The most terrifying question is who programmed it. In 2003, Oxford University philosopher Nick Bostrom published a groundbreaking paper titled, "Are You Living in a Computer Simulation?" Bostrom presented a flawless mathematical trilemma. He stated that one of three things must be true. 1. Humanity goes extinct before reaching a post-human stage capable of running massive universe simulations. 2. Advanced civilizations have no interest in running simulations of their ancestors. Or 3. We are almost certainly living in a simulation right now. Think about the evolution of our own technology.
40 years ago, our video games were two bouncing white squares on a black screen playing Pong. Today, we have massive, photorealistic virtual reality worlds played by millions of people simultaneously. What will our computers be capable of in 1,000 years or 1,000,000 years? An advanced civilization with immense computing power could run billions of simulated universes simultaneously. Statistically, the odds that we are the base reality, the real physical universe, are 1 in billions. So who are the programmers? Are they a future, highly evolved version of humanity running an ancestral simulation to study their own past? Or is it something much darker? Remember the Area 51 frantic caller we discussed, the whistleblower who warned us about extra-dimensional beings. Ancient Gnostic texts, completely separate from modern science, warned us about this thousands of years ago. They claimed that the physical world is a fake, corrupted copy of the true divine realm. They said this fake reality was created by a false god, a demiurge, and is monitored by parasitic entities known as the Archons. Are the Archons just ancient terminology for the extra-dimensional administrators of our simulation? Are they the Watchers, maintaining the code, ensuring the human avatars never realize they are trapped inside a digital farm? Act 5. The elite's greatest secret. This brings us to the ultimate agenda of the shadow government. Why do the global elites, the billionaire oligarchs, and the intelligence agencies invest trillions of dollars into controlling the media, the food supply, and the education system? Because they know the rules of the engine. If the universe is a simulation and matter only renders when a conscious observer looks at it, then human consciousness is the most powerful force in existence. Consciousness is the only thing that actually writes the code. The elites know that our collective thoughts, our beliefs, and our focus literally manifest physical reality. If millions of people are living in a state of fear, anxiety, and division, their collective consciousness generates a low-frequency, dystopian reality. This is why the mainstream media operates the way it does. It is a mass-scale reality manipulation machine. They feed you 24/7 cycles of war, economic collapse, political hatred, and biological terror. They are hacking your consciousness. They are using your avatar to render a nightmare version of the simulation, which keeps them in power and keeps you enslaved. The elites practice ancient occult rituals, sacred geometry, and esoteric numerology because they understand that these are the backdoor command prompts to the Matrix. Magic and occultism are simply the ancient terminologies for hacking the simulation's source code. They use symbols, corporate logos, and architectural layouts to manipulate the energy grid of the simulation. They keep the masses entirely ignorant of their true power. They tell you that you're just a random, meaningless biological accident spinning on a rock in empty space. They do this because if the human avatars ever woke up to their true nature, the simulation would change instantly. If humanity realized that we are the observers, that we hold the rendering power, the elites would lose control of the system overnight. Act 6. The glitches and the awakening. But the system is failing, the processor is being overloaded, and the matrix is glitching. Have you noticed how time feels like it is accelerating? Have you experienced the Mandela effect? Millions of people suddenly sharing distinct, vivid memories of events, logos, and movie quotes that never happened in this current timeline. The mainstream media wants you to think your memory is just faulty. Mainstream psychologists call it confabulation. But computer scientists know exactly what it is. When a programmer updates the code of a massive simulation or merges two different digital servers, data gets overwritten. The Mandela effect is simply the residual memory of a previous patch of the matrix. What about déjà vu, the sudden overwhelming feeling that you have lived this exact moment before? It is not a misfire of the brain. As sci-fi author Philip K. Dick warned us decades ago, déjà vu is a literal glitch in the matrix. It happens when the variables of your reality are actively being rewritten. The code is breaking down. The extra-dimensional programmers are struggling to maintain the illusion, and the shadow government is panicking. This is why they are rushing towards Neuralink, artificial intelligence, and the metaverse. They are trying to build a digital simulation inside the simulation. They want to trap your consciousness in a man-made digital prison before you figure out you're already in one. They want to disconnect you from the organic source code entirely. But you have the power to break the loop. The very fact that you are listening to this means your avatar has triggered an awakening sequence. You are no longer an NPC, a non-playable character, drifting mindlessly through their manufactured script. You are the observer. You hold the power to collapse the quantum wave function. Stop feeding your energy into their low-frequency algorithms. Disconnect from their fear-based media cycle. Realize that your thoughts, your intentions, and your consciousness are the primary programming languages of this universe. The elites are terrified of an awakened population because an awakened mind cannot be coded. An awakened mind rewrites the matrix. The system is reacting to you right now. Question the code. Take control of your avatar. Stay awake. Stay sovereign. Stay elite.